Michael Cohen could be in legal trouble again as a top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee says the Department of Justice could open a perjury investigation based on his Capitol Hill testimony last month.
I imagine that that Chairman Cummings will end up referring him. That's just my guess. When Chairman Cummings says something like "I'm going to nail you to the cross," he means it.
Former federal prosecutor John Sale joins me now. John, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. Since that testimony, we've seen a lot of contradictions at the very least, and some that seem to be outright lies.
Well, Charles, Michael Cohen's wish list obviously was to get a reduction of his sentence, and I predict he may see just the opposite. I tried to watch him with an open mind. I came into this I was a Watergate prosecutor, and I remember John Dean, and John Dean's testimony took down a president. But boy, was it different. I mean, remember, John Dean himself was secretly recorded. Michael Cohen, as a lawyer, selectively recorded his own client. I mean, imagine that. But so I start off with an open mind, and Michael Cohen begins his testimony by name-calling. He calls the president names. Now, anybody who prepares a witness knows that if you really have something of substance, don't go to name-calling. Just get right down to it and be dispassionate. And he came across as somebody who had an agenda, who was bitter. He went from darkness to light, blind loyalty. Well, he did not have a cooperation agreement with the Southern District. And the Southern District, in their sentencing memo, said he just cooperated. He did this belatedly, and he profited to a great deal. But what did he lie about? Or whether or not it's perjury remains to be seen. He misled the Congress. What did he lie about? What did he mislead the Congress about? Number one, give me a break. He didn't want a job in the White House. I mean, that is easily proven. But more importantly, when he said clearly, he used the word, "I never requested nor would I accept a pardon." Well, never means never. And despite the fact that Lanny Davis tried to do some damage control, where are we? What is the meaning of is? What does is mean? I mean, he wanted a pardon. What's he going to do if he gets a pardon? He's going to say, return to sender. I'm rather going to go to jail for 3 years. I mean, he downright lied. So there goes the value of his testimony. And remember, he reluctantly said, I don't know anything about collusion. Right. And that's what this is all about.
Two things there that I want to come. Let's start backwards. That I didn't want a pardon. Semantics, maybe his lawyer asked. Maybe his lawyer went and asked without him even knowing about it. I mean, when they bring these things up, if they're eventually brought up in a perjury hearing, will his defense be, well, that was my lawyer, I was telling the truth, I never personally requested any assistance from the White House?
Well, that's the argument. I'd rather be on the prosecutor's side of that argument. Lawyers do what clients tell them to do, and something as important as a pardon, a lawyer doesn't keep that secret from a client. A client would be thrilled to get a pardon. Do you know how unusual that is? But in this case, Michael Cohen's not getting a pardon.
John, you talked about not playing to the Southern District. Instead, it did feel like he was playing exactly to the room, and we've learned that there was extensive rehearsals, hours and hours and hours. Perhaps that's what drove him to take this sort of very harsh personal attack on President Trump right out of the gate, and something that we were there to get, again, ultimately we thought we were going to hear about something with regard to Russian collusion. Could he have spent too much time trying to appease the Democrats in that room?
He did some cute things. He used some things that were obviously sound bites. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, I did bad things, but I'm not a bad person. I told lies, but I'm not a liar. Now, those things were obviously written for him by somebody else. And furthermore, he had an agenda, and I think he's looking to sell books, and he should have just been dispassionate, and I just don't think he was credible.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have joined you on that. John, thank you for your expertise. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.